The third round of the Euroformula Open season begins, and it's Paul Ricard, 5.822 kilometres of circuit for the drivers to face up to here. 16 laps, all 35 minutes of racing to come here in the first race of the Euroformula Open weekend here at Paul Ricard. They've had 5 races already, of course, 3 at Estoril, 2 at Pau, and Christian Mansell it is who is going to be on pole position for this race today. It's been a duel really between Goethe, Mansell, Sebastian Ogier, Vlad Lomko. There are a good number of really competitive drivers here this weekend and all throughout the season, but the top 2 in the championship, Mansell and Goethe, it feels like a very apt front row of the grid that Mansell and Goethe will be starting alongside each other today.
Certainly does, Adam, and it's a pleasure to be back here for Euroformula as well for the race 1 here at Paul Ricard. The spectators, as you can see, watching on certainly here this fine afternoon. The temperature here is still scorching. It's absolutely stunning, but certainly a lot of the drivers are going to have to cope with it. This is going to be a different test of pressure. There, of course, is Frederick Lubin moving up onto his grid position. Of course, the man who's currently on top at the moment is Christian Mansell, who's currently sitting alongside Ollie Goethe, as you so rightly said, Adam. It's a wonderful championship. We started off the season with a wonderful effort at Estoril, where we witnessed a huge battle there. And then, of course, heading to Pau, which unfortunately I wasn't there for, but you were. Witnessed some incredible racing there as well. But obviously, at this moment in time, it's Goethe and Mansell on the front row as we now watch the car number 71, that belonging to Christian Mansell, our pole sitter, the Aussie, and he'll be lining up on top spot. The question is, can he keep it, Adam?
We'll have to wait and see. I'm sure he'll be just as interested to know the answer to that question too. He already has a race win this season, the first race of the season at Estoril. However, he has not taken a pole position so far this year. In fact, this morning's qualifying session was the first time in a qualifying session where we haven't had Oliver Goethe on top. Goethe has been a sensation in qualifying in terms of one-lap pace, but he wasn't able to better Christian Mansell in the session this morning. Now, Mansell, who will be starting from the pole, is just getting himself ready to go. Mansell, as we said, he's had a win so far this year. Pau was a little bit of a challenge at times. He'll be looking to bounce back strong at Ricard up against this man, Ollie Goethe.
Certainly will. It's going to be a real fight between the pair, front row together. There's the Dane, Ollie Goethe, and no doubt looking to try and right the wrong that was qualifying in his eyes, I'd imagine. But there in behind is Vladislav Lomko in 3rd place. And he no doubt be looking to continue his exploits from Pau, because of course he came away with a win himself, Adam.
He won the big one. He won the Grand Prix de Pau itself on the Sunday at Pau 2 weeks ago, and he was buoyant coming out of that race. I'm sure that momentum has carried over for him this weekend. Josh Mason there in 4th place in the number 21 car. In the 25 in 5th is the first of the Van Amersfoort racing entries, and that's Sebastian Ogier at the wheel, the Danish driver, starting alongside his teammate Philipp Ugran, who had a good dice with Oliver Goethe during the Pau Grand Prix race. And ultimately, you saw that wonderful overtake from Goethe to get past Philipp Ugran. But it was a very entertaining dice. Alex Garcia starting from 7th. This is his best qualifying performance of the Euroformula Open season so far. He'll be looking to try and make some headway, maybe even try and get himself into the top 5 today. 8th place, Frederick Lubin, trying to recapture some of the form he had at Estoril. He looked like a title contender at Estoril. He should be a title contender, but it was a rough time of it at the Pau event. A DNF and a very modest point score in race 2. Francesco Simonazzi starting from 9th position, and rounding out the top 10 is Nicola Marin Angeli, who we'll see on screen in just a moment. Marin Angeli, another of the Van Amersfoort entries. He too had a bit of trouble in time at points at Pau. It's quite easy to have a bad weekend at Pau. It's a circuit that doesn't forgive, and unfortunately in the first race he ended up in the barriers. Nico Pino in 11th place, the Chilean driver. I know he'll have a lot of supporters from Chile watching the race, and hopefully he will be up there he obviously had a top 5 finish, as Vladimir Netishil gives us a wave. He's trying to get the camera to look at something else, but no, Vladimir, we're focusing on you. Nico Pino, though, did manage to get to top 5 last time out at Po. And here are some highlights from Po. So then this was the start of the first race. You see there, Freddie Lubin didn't get off the line for our first race of the day. He had to work from the back to work his way up the order. Christian Mansell managed to get up into second place ahead of Vladislav Lomko, who started on the front row of the grid. Oliver Goethe just drove off into the distance. Lubin started picking off drivers as he worked his way through the order from the back, but unfortunately his third attempt at an overtake at turn 2 unfortunately didn't go well at the Virage de la Guerre. The winner, though, in race 1 was Oliver Goethe, but a slightly poor start at the start of the second race allowed Vladislav Lomko through into the lead. He then tried to go around the outside of Lomko at turn 2, but there was dust at that corner, very low grip surface, and he had a slide that eventually put him down to 5th position. He and Ugran had a good fight, as Simonazzi also found the dust on the outside and had a trouble as a result of that. Goethe with a sensational move at Busan, and that put him up into what was eventually a top 3 finishing place. A victory, though, for Vladislav Lomko there at Po in the second race. What that does for the championship, it elevates Lomko to 3rd place. Goethe with 19 points over Christian Mansell in the championship. It's close between Lomko and Ogard, just 2 points apart in 3rd and 4th in the overall championship. They're also tied in the rookie standings. So then we will see the grid now for this race. Christian Mansell and Oliver Goethe there starting alongside one another. Mansell with the inside line into turn 1. Will he still be our leader by the time we get there? Vladislav Lomko and Josh Mason starting 3rd and 4th respectively. Then it's Sebastian Ogard and Philip Ugran in 5th and 6th. Alex Garcia in 7th alongside Freddie Lubin. The 2 Team Moto Park cars together. Then it's an Italian 5th row, Francesco Simonazzi of BVM Racing alongside Van Amersfoort Racing's Nicola, Marin, Angeli. Nico Pino in the DriveX car, joined by Vladimir Netishil in the number 7 effective racing car at the back of the grid. So then, we are now onto the formation lap here at Paul Ricard. Unlike the previous 2 races, these Dallara 320s have raced here before in Euroformula Open, and that means that the teams will have a bit more relevant data to go off. It means that a few of the drivers, including Josh Mason, have driven this car in a competitive atmosphere previously, which could be a good thing for him. Christian Mansell, though, is our pole sitter. Let's hear what he said earlier.
It's a very nice track to drive in this car. You know, the whole lap was just really hooked up. Good track position. I had Josh just in front of me. I got a really, really good tow. But yeah, overall, really, really happy with that. Really happy.
Yes, I think it was all sinking in a bit for him, Christian, in the podium interview earlier on. Sometimes he is a real live wire, but he was, I think, really just delighted with his performance in that qualifying session. Delighted to see him having such a good performance in that quali. As we said, he's had a win, but he is yet to have a pole position this season, or indeed at all in Euroformula Open. Of course, he did have a season with us, or a part season with us last year in 2021. And Christian Mansell will be elated with the potential here with the pole position. He's such a good starter, and we'll see if he can get to the line before Goethe. And oh, this is good, isn't it? A nice little view from atop the halo and on board here with Christian Mansell. I'm sure we'll get a few peeks at this during the race. He currently rolls on through turn 12, the Virage du Bendour, and Mansell will be starting from the left side of the grid, the pole position. Oliver Goethe, who has had some poor starts. We saw a lot of poor starts out of him at Estoril. He seemed to have that mostly nailed down at Po, but now he needs a really good one to try and get alongside Mansell into turn 1.
He certainly does. I think Stuart Hall said to him, in fact, we were there, and said, you need to start pulling together those starts. And
yes.
we actually heard it in the pre-podium as well.
Did.
Obviously, that was a topic of conversation that reared its head just towards the end of that one race at Estoril. But, of course, we're just watching Mansell heat those tyres up aggressively, just making sure they're up to temperature. Of course, he'll need those for when he wants to get off the line. And no doubt you'll want to get ahead off the line ahead of Ollie Goethe. That is going to be the priority number one for him heading in towards turn one. Vladislav Lomko, though, he might fancy himself off the line. You never know. Maybe a 3 wide into turn one. Watch yourself, boys. This could be fun. But further back, you have got, of course, Josh Mason in a wonderful 4th spot as well. So plenty of twists and turns ahead. Paul Ricard, as Christian Mansell did allude to, does suit these cars down to the ground. So I think we're going to be in for a real tremendous race.
I reckon so. There's a lot of overtaking opportunities here. Some of these corners are really spectacular in these Dallara 320 chassis. I'm really looking forward to seeing how this all translates into the race we're about to see. Oliver Goethe will be trying his very best to get a good launch to cover off the cars behind and maybe, just maybe, get ahead of Christian Mansell at the first opportunity. The lights will be out in just a moment because the revs are rising. We're about to go racing for the first time this weekend at Paul Ricard, and Josh Mason has had a poor start there. Mason falls to the back of the order. Everyone else seemingly has had a decent start, and Goethe with a nose ahead. Oliver Goethe leads, does he? Oh, contact between Mansell and Sebastian Ogard. Oh, Christian Mansell. Mansell there with contact. And that's a huge shame for Christian, who was on pole position. We were so hopeful that he would have a good result here, but unfortunately he's had a spin. He's going to have to try and recover this from quite a long way back. He is now at the very back of the pack, scrambling and fighting, going on further back. The 24 car of Alex Garcia has lost a couple of spots. Up to second then is Vladislav Lomko. Then it's Ogard and then it's Ugran, I believe, the top 4 at this stage. And look at Josh Mason. He isn't wasting any time. After that poor start, he's trying to make up positions. And here you see the beauty of the Mistral straight in a junior single-seater. Look at Ugran. He's diving up the inside for 3rd place. Good move from Ugran. He got it done before the corner in reality. Side by side as well between Lubin and Marin Angeli. And Lubin around the outside just about holds onto it as they come out of turn 9. And look at Lubin, immediately goes defensive. He doesn't want to give the opportunity to Marin Angeli around senior. And let's see if they're all single file by the time they get to senior. It's a corner you'd like to be single file for ideally, but no, they went through it side by side. And Marin Angeli in the back of shot is still trying to get around the outside, but Lubin just about holds onto it. Nico Pino trying to make headway as well, just behind these two fighters. And Josh Mason there in 10th place. Wow, that was an interesting first lap. A lot happened all at once, but the big story there is the incident there with Christian Mansell. Mansell sent into a spin at turn 1. Unfortunately, our pole sitter is right at the back of the pack. Yeah, well, I think Stuart Hall will be delighted. Obviously, his advice has taken hold. Goethe got an electrifying start off the getaway, getting ahead of Christian Mansell, of course. Unfortunately for Mansell, as you did allude to, he had that major incident, of course, that led him to the back of the field. Vladislav Lomko now in 2nd place. There you can see Francesco Simonazzi right in the midfield as well, chasing after Frederick Lubin right now with Sebastian Ogard in 4th place. Here comes now none other than Josh Mason on Nico Pino, who's currently sat in 9th as they now head down in towards the next right-hander. And nose to tail between those in the midfield. Of course, Lubin, Ogard and Simonazzi all bunched together. Ogard leading that battle between the 3. There's Lubin just hot on his tail, Simonazzi behind. Here's the replay of the start, and as you can see, look at Goethe's getaway. Went straight away alongside there of Christian Mansell. Josh Mason, unfortunately, not getting the start he would have wished for. Simonazzi got thrown right into the fight. And there's the 24 of Alex Garcia having to cut the chicane as well. And there's the footage of Christian Mansell, unfortunately, being uprooted. And he would rejoin at the very back of the grid. I hate to say it, but Conor Fraze is 0-0 at that point. Of course, Christian Mansell, it wasn't a terrible getaway, no. But it's just the case. I think that Ollie Goethe had the better one, I think, in that situation. Heading in towards turn 1. Oh, yeah, just got so close to the apex. Something from behind as well came in. Unfortunately for Christian Mansell, it meant that he's now at the back of the field. So then Goethe in the lead then, and just see a voice message being relayed there from the Moto Park garage. So clearly some active discussions maybe going on with the home base of the team. Simonazzi, we just saw a shot of him, and this was the moment between himself and I thought it was Lubin. It was actually Alex Garcia, so I have to apologise. I called it as Lubin at the time. It was Garcia side by side with Simonazzi, and Garcia has ended up at the better out that, and Simonazzi really dived up the inside at the final corner, and well, goodness me, look at this drag race now down towards turn one. It's Simonazzi and Garcia side by side as they run towards the first corner. Surely Garcia's going to struggle to go all the way around the outside at turn one, but I think he might give it a go. In fact, no, it's Marin Angeli, sorry. So Marin Angeli now trying to get around Simonazzi. Marin Angeli not able to do it on that occasion, though.
And there was a battle between Nico Pino and Josh Mason. Josh Mason getting ahead of Pino into that 9th spot. So a bit of a twist up there between that pairing, of course. But Simonazzi certainly relentless at this moment in time, looking to try and get ahead of the field. Of course, still trying to chase on Garcia. Barely just staying ahead of Marin Angeli, who looked to take advantage after what looked to be Simonazzi's desperate move into the final corner. Very nearly landed it, but unfortunately, he just could not get the traction off the getaway. But no question as to who's in front. It's Ollie Goethe, 2.7 seconds with Lomko closing. He's got the fastest lap of the race so far. Here comes Simonazzi, and Simonazzi this time, staying ahead of Marin Angeli, who's right in behind him here at this point. Of course, in behind then, you've got Josh Mason, who's starting to make some serious moves. Here's on the onboard of Christian Mansell. What a lovely headshot this is, going very wide onto the right-hand side there, and maybe just to avoid a little bit of dirty air, perhaps, as he now makes his way in towards what will be turn 10. And as you can hear, foot to the floor, here comes Simonazzi. Yet again this time, what looks to be on Marin Angeli. Still these two going toe for toe. Here as now we see Simonazzi still trying to hold on, looks to have the upper hand. Heading into the next lap, Josh Mason might fancy a try as well, who's currently sat in behind the pair of them. But still, it's none other than that man, Marin Angeli, who goes on ahead there of Simonazzi. Oh, look up! Oh,
he's got wing damage. Simonazzi went off track there, and I think he collected one of those little bollards. We saw the bollard in qualifying cause Philippe Augrand a problem, but he went off track and he's come back on track with huge front wing damage. Now, interestingly, he's pressing on regardless. Maybe he wasn't quite aware of what's happening there, but Simonazzi with damage now. Nico Pino is closing in on him. That's really unfortunate for Simonazzi. He was having a good scrap for 7th there with Marin Angeli, and he's ended up with a wounded car through no fault of Marin Angeli's.
No, not at all. Mansell, who made some moves up into 9th place, so he is starting to recover somewhat. I think after the issue with Simonazzi, I think it allowed him to sort of gain a couple of places. So he's on a push, he's on a drive, is young Christian Mansell, as we can now see this string of cars making their way through, of course, this being Alex Garcia, who we're currently watching. He is chasing after Sebastian Ogard, Frederick Lubin as well. You've got a squadron there of Van Amersfoort cars there in the mix, as we're now seeing certainly them tying up here. Oh, some moves further up, heading into the chicane. This is none other than what I can just about see there. Looks to be Frederick Lubin there losing out to Sebastian Ogard, who now gets into 5th place. So not bad at all, but a lot of battling in between Van Amersfoort cars. They probably would prefer that they just try to gain a little bit. Oh, little look. God, they're relentless, Adam.
They really are. Freddie Lubin trying to get to the inside by any means necessary heading into senior. He's desperate to get into the top 3. He didn't have a great qualifying today. He knows what he's capable of from Estoril, and he's trying to get back into the podium positions. Meanwhile, behind him, Alex Garcia is hounding Sebastian Ogard, and Ogard, in turn, gets around Freddie Lubin. Amazing stuff. So the Van Amersfoort cars have got through into 3rd and 4th place, and I think running wide there was Alex Garcia as well, and Lubin has got back through. Oh, contact between Lubin and Ogard. Oh, Sebastian Ogard gets into the back of Freddie Lubin, and Christian Mansell has made a move there on Garcia. He's also gotten around Josh Mason. All sorts of things going on here. Mason and Mansell side by side as they run down to the first corner. Mansell with the inside line. That's got to give him an advantage, but will he lead into the corner? Yes, he does. He just about gets through into what is now 6th position. Mansell is on a mighty recovery drive.
He certainly is. He's in the midfield, but here comes Josh Mason again, not content with laying down for the Aussie. Oh, bit of debris falling off, but Josh Mason sends it again and manages to land a steady blow, but a switchback from Christian Mansell at the last-ditch effort, heading around the next right-hander. Oh, superb Mansell. Oh, and here comes now another one. This one's Garcia. Alex Garcia right on toe of Josh Mason. Maybe he'll have a chance now, down through towards the Mistral Straight. As they do make the charge, they've got a chicane to take. You can see some really vicious tyre warming going on further up as well. We've got the incident involving cars 25 and 78 under investigation. Oh, 3 wide now as they head into the next left. Nico Pino gets a move done as well and moves himself up a spot up into P8, and that of course leaves Josh Mason in behind him as well. So, God, what a moment, Adam.
This has been a very fraught first few laps of racing here. Goodness me, it's all been kicking off. We saw there Freddie Lubin getting sent into a spin by Sebastian Jogard, and that is under investigation at the moment. You'll be unsurprised to hear Mansell and Mason having this excellent scrap as they went down to the Virage de la Hotel. Mason, briefly at least, got himself up and past. And there you see Mansell around the outside, wasn't going to take no for an answer, dive back up the inside of the Virage de la Camp, but unfortunately that ultimately ended up costing Mason more positions as we saw him drop down further in the order. Nico Pino has now been re-overtaken actually by Josh Mason, so Mason has got himself back into 8th place now as a result of that. Josh Mason down to 8th behind Alex Garcia. Garcia there in 7th place. Of course, he lost time courtesy of trying to avoid the Jogard and Lubin situation. Jogard's still there in 4th place at the moment. He's 1.8 seconds behind Philip Ugran at this stage. Marin Angeli is there in 5th place. He won't believe his luck. He's seen all sorts of things happen around him. He's had a few exciting racing moments, but thus far, none of the calamities have affected him. Of course, lest we forget, Josh Mason is also working his way back up because he obviously started 4th on the grid and had that really poor start. Here's Vladislav Lomko. That's an alternative line, if I've ever seen one, but he was very careful to rejoin quite slowly. I don't think that will cause him too much of an issue, but Lomko there having a bit of an off-track moment, just asked a bit too much of the car at Virage Hotel. And the 71 car up to 6th place there, Christian Mansell. He will be disappointed with how this race has gone so far, but he can take pride and comfort in how he is working his way through the pack. He's still got 11 laps left to claw his way back through the order, and he's already up into 6th place. You'd suspect that he can try and close in on Marin Angeli as well, although that said, Marin Angeli's last lap was a fair bit quicker than Christian Mansell's. Of course, he was fighting Josh Mason for part of that lap, but lest we forget, Mansell at one point was up in the air as he had that spin at turn 1, so, you know, doesn't take much to affect the geometry of a race car on the suspension, so maybe the car isn't quite handling as it did in qualifying as a result of that quite hefty moment at turn 1 at the start of this race. Marin Angeli then all over the back of Sebastian Jogard, so it's an all Van Amersfoort battle there for 4th place, and they're going to be watching Christian Mansell in the back of their mirrors and hoping he doesn't close in, but he is closing in. Okay, Mansell is back up to pace. Look at that, 56.819. He's closed in quite significantly. I think this could soon be a 3-way battle for the last step on the podium.
Yeah, 8/10 he gained in that last lap, so that's incredible. Christian Mansell really on the charge now on Marin Angeli, who's currently sat in 5th, and as you quite rightly said, the team of Van Amersfoort cars now are going to be looking in behind, and you can see him right in behind now. So Mansell is on a flyer, heading now in towards what will be the Mistral Straight now after the next left, and you can see him behind as well. Alex Garcia is trying to close up on the field in behind too. In all the carnage and all the devastation, of course, Goethe has actually increased his advantage out to 4.7 seconds, but Vladislav Lomko still carrying the fastest lap of the race. He's having a great drive so far, and of course leading the Rookie Championship as things stand.
As things stand, but I get the feeling this is going to be a race where not much remains the same almost from lap to lap. The one thing that has been consistent since turn 1 has been Oliver Goethe in the lead. His gap between himself and Vlad Lomko is out to over 5 seconds. So Goethe once again in prime position here at the moment and showing his pace at the front of the order. He is the fastest driver out there on circuit by quite some margin as well. We follow this battle for third place though, and Ugran continuing to sit there in third place. Then 1.8 seconds behind him is Sebastian Ogard. Ogard with much less over his Van Amersfoort teammate, Nicola, Marin Angeli. And then you've got Christian Mansell lurking behind as well. Alex Garcia for Motor Park in 7th. Josh Mason for the Crypto Tower team sat there in 8th place. Nico Pino in 9th, and Freddie Lubin rounds out the top 10, of course. Good to see that he's still circulating, and he's actually setting personal best laps out there at the moment, is Freddie Lubin, but he's going to be frustrated. He had a difficult weekend at Po, and through no fault of his own, he had a bit of a spin there at the second last corner. Contact with Seb Ogard sent him around, and unfortunately sent him to the back of the pack.
Yeah, absolutely not good at all. And, he's going to be on a recovery mission as well, as we're now watching what looks to be Christian Mansell, well, not Christian Mansell, Josh Mason looking to garner up a position ahead of Alex Garcia. So they head through the next right. Still Garcia holding his own, you know, around the next right-hander. Of course, this one being part of the turn 6-7 part of the circuit. In towards the Mistral Straight now again. This is Christian Mansell heading down the straight. He's chasing on Nicola Marin Angeli. That gap has really come down now. 4 tenths is the gap. Remember, it was 8 to 9 tenths before, so it's come down by near enough 5 as they head into the chicane now. Still leading him through is Marin Angeli, but Mansell knows he just needs to be patient. Just capitalise on every move to head through towards the next straight. And 0.4 is where it currently sits, of course, just under half a second as they head around turn 10. Oh, there's some movement happening here now as they now see them and get through the next right. This is now Josh Mason looking to try and make a move on Alex Garcia into the next right-hander, swinging through turn 11. It is still, as they rise through it, Mason still squeezing now right through, looks for the switchback, might be able to get it done, as now we rejoin the battle between Christian Mansell and that of Nicola Marin Angeli, but still side by side between Garcia and Josh Mason. But this time it's all sufficed, and certainly I believe it's ended up with Garcia still in front of him.
Oh, goodness me, there's a lot of fighting going on today, isn't there? Here's Mansell, he's got at the inside of Marin Angeli, and I think Marin Angeli might be able to fire back. Oh, Garcia in a spin. Garcia's had a moment once again. Everything happening at once. Mansell has lost the position once again to Marin Angeli, who got a better run out of the final corner, but Mansell to the inside, braver on the brakes, and through. You'd think it could be definitive this time, though Marin Angeli's still right behind him. He'll be looking to try and get past a hotel. Goodness me, Mansell goes defensive, and yes, he just about holds on to what is now 5th place for Christian Mansell. He's back up into the top 5. Alex Garcia down to, well, I believe it's 10th place, unfortunately. With that moment, we didn't see exactly what happened there, but we will now, because Garcia heading into the corner, Mason with the inside locked up, and they came together at the apex. Unfortunately, Alex Garcia ended up facing the wrong way.
Yeah, we just couldn't quite see that contact heading through the final corner. Here's the view from Christian Mansell's car heading through the final bend. Of course, still in front, though, of Nicola Marin Angeli. But Marin Angeli not going away here at this point as they head out of the chicane. So Marin Angeli might have a chance here on the second part of the Mistral Straight. Should he be able to get right into the rear wing slipstream. Might have lost a little bit of time, actually, on the exit of that chicane, so not ideal at all. But another fastest lap for Vladislav Lomko as well, so he's doing well. 4.9 seconds the gap now between him and Ollie Goethe, so he's on a bit of a mission too.
Yes, he is. Looking quicker and quicker is Lomko. All positive signs, of course, for the 2 races to come, and lest we forget, the fastest laps all important, because the fastest lap order forms the grid for race 2 tomorrow. So a fast lap now pays dividends later. And Josh Mason with a puncture. The misfortunes continue for Josh. Of course, that was the side of the car that made contact with Alex Garcia, and I'm having to guess that that's a legacy of that. Mason with a puncture. So unfortunate for Josh, but he is, unfortunately, even if he does get back out there, he is going to be possibly even outside of the points, unfortunately, Josh Mason. But it's been a difficult season so far for Josh. He got a front row start at Estoril, and then the car didn't get underway for him at the start of the first race. At Po, he was on course for his first podium in Euroformula Open, and and then unfortunately just pushed a bit too hard and ended up in the barriers, and now a puncture. Hopefully Josh can bounce back for Sunday, as we know that better results are surely forthcoming for Josh, because he's exhibited some serious pace at times. We'll see how he does tomorrow here at Paul Ricard. Here's Vladislav Lomko in the second position. As you alluded to, George, he's still setting decent lap times, although the gap between himself and Goethe has gone back out a little on that lap. And here's the other half of that contact we saw a couple of laps ago. Unfortunately, Alex Garcia in as well. Yellow flags out as well at turn 9, I can see on the timing screen, so hopefully nothing too amiss there. You can see it on your track map down at the bottom of the screen as well. I'm peering around, seeing if there's anything there at turn 9. Not anything we can see. In fact, it's the abandoned car of Josh Mason that's brought out that yellow flag. You can just see it there on the outside of turn 9, so that's why the yellow's out. But a shame for Alex Garcia as well. We said it when we were looking at the cars on the pre-grid. He had his best qualifying of the season so far. Unfortunately, it's ended with an early retirement for him.
Yeah, it certainly has. Big shame. And they're actually going to be investigating that one as well. We've been told and confirmed that car 21, that's Josh Mason's car, will remain in the safe place until the end of the race. So they're quite confident that they can obviously continue with that being stationed the way it is. So the yellow flag for turn 9, I'm sure, will remain for now, but I'm sure eventually will go green in that sector very soon. But we're just watching now as the cars make their way in towards turn 1. That's Philippe Newgran and Sebastian Ogard. Of course, Ogard now, who you're seeing in your picture, chasing after Philippe Newgran right now. And this is the battle for third place in the race right now as well. So the other rookie, of course, Sebastian Ogard, currently sitting in 4th. Of course, Lomko, the leading rookie, in a sense, because he's sat in 2nd and doing extremely well. Obviously, the gap, though, between him and Goethe is starting to come out again. 3/10 down now on Ollie Goethe to where he was before when we last checked. Further down as well, Christian Mansell starting to charge as well on Ogard. In fact, he's brought that gap well within to 1.9, so he's starting to make a charge as well. So it's been a good race, certainly lots of action. I think the initial laps are the precursor to where we are now, that's for sure. Certainly a lot of festivities in the first few laps, and we've seen quite a couple of trials and tribulations as well, but nevertheless, that's what's exciting about single-seaters.
Yeah, there's always something interesting going on in a Euroformula Open race. There's all of these drivers fighting to prove that they could be a star of the future in the world of single-seater and the broader motorsport world as well. Here you see Sebastian Ogard. He's got away remarkably scot-free in terms of the actual condition of the car. From the couple of bits of contact that he's had so far in this race. The front wing on that car clearly made of Stern stuff, and thankfully still in one piece at the moment. He's still there or thereabouts with Ugran as well, actually 3/10 faster last time by than Ugran. We'll see how the deltas match when they come across the line this time to see whether he's gained more time. It certainly looks as though Ogard is still pressing on. Out to the final turn he goes. And let's see what the gap is. Ugran across the line, and Ogard following. A 56.9 for Ugran, a 56.8 for Ogard. So still going down slightly. In fact, no, sorry, apologies, it's gone up. Okay, yes, so actually doesn't make much sense. It's gone up, but oh, okay, so I think he lost a lot of time in the final sector, actually, Ogard. That's why the gap has gone back up. 1.279 seconds between the two of them. Of course, there is the factor of dirty air in these high downforce cars as well. It can be difficult to close up enough. But Ogard, a 4th place result would be good for him, especially after Poe. He injured his thumb in an incident in FP2. It wasn't broken, hence he was allowed to race, but he had heavy bruising on the thumb, and that made that car very difficult to drive, especially at a street circuit like Poe. Ollie Goethe, you see him soaring away at the wheel, our current race leader by 5.7 seconds. Goethe really has been exemplary so far this season. As it stands, he is going to further his points lead, and of course he'll be pretty positive with the fact that Mansell is down in 5th place, because that helps him build that advantage ever more. Yeah, it does. It will drag the championship outwards. Obviously, it's up to Mansell to try and gain that gain that time back. He's 4 places down from where he started at the start of the Grand Prix, but as they make their way in towards the next right-hander, it's still Goethe on top. Lomko in 2nd place, 6
seconds now the gap, so it's plunged outwards again. So Goethe, not content with remaining where he is. He's on a mission still, but Lomko still owning that fastest lap so far.
Yeah, absolutely. Lomko currently, as it stands, to be on the pole position for tomorrow's second race. So that could be very interesting. There you see, into turn 1 goes Lomko. Here's the third place driver, Philip Ugran. Number 14 car, currently set for the final step on the podium. Ugran would be delighted with that positive result for him if he can take a third place and really kind of launch his season a little bit late. Of course, Lomko, who really made a statement victory last time out in the second race at Pau, which was the 79th Grand Prix de Pau. He has put his name in amongst a variety of legendary racing figures, and he'll be now hoping to further stamp his authority on the championship. Of course, with him finishing second and Mansell finishing 5th, that will also bring Lomko closer to Mansell in the championship. I daren't do the points off the cuff now in my head because that would not go well. And nonetheless, Mansell closing in on Ogard. We may yet see Mansell getting in amongst it and maybe making a late bid for a podium, although with only 4 laps to go, I think it would be hard to do from this place where he currently is on track. A 56.402 last time by for him as well, bringing his gap down ever more. And of course, every time he sets a faster lap, it also puts him a little bit further up the grid for tomorrow's second race as well.
Yeah, Mansell now 8 tenths away from Ogard. He's currently ahead of him now. 8 tenths is certainly better than the second that he had previously, and heading through the next left again. Mansell is absolutely plug-in, chomping at the bit, trying to look to move into that 4th place. He might still yet get a podium if he keeps on. Of course, we've still got 3 laps left, so anything can happen between now and the checkered flag as we're now making our way in towards the final corner. And on the exit, it's going to be so important for Mansell. Can he get a decent exit just to give himself a chance here to close on Sebastian Ogard, who's there currently. Well, Philip Ugran we were just seeing in our picture with the 2 behind him. That's Ogard and Mansell in towards turn 1 now. And Mansell has brought that gap even further inwards now. 6.5 tenths of a second between the pair. And the Australian is certainly looking to go full on here. He knows exactly what's on the table. He knows what's in front of him. What he can see is certainly that Philip Ugran ahead of Ogard represents 3rd place, which I'm sure he would like very much indeed.
He very much would, but it's quite the mountain to scale, I think. Getting past both Ogard and Ugran for Christian Mansell is going to be difficult. Out onto the Mistral straight goes this battle for 3rd place once again. Ugran has ever so slightly rebuilt his gap between himself and Ogard in the first sector of the lap. It ebbs and flows again and again, but look at Mansell. He's definitely closer, isn't he, to Ogard this time? What is the gap down to? It was 6 tenths, and by the time they get towards senior, I think it might be a bit less. Certainly Mansell's not quite within overtaking range yet, but it's coming, isn't it?
It is certainly coming, and we'll see how he is heading around turn 10, because of course this one where you can near enough take flat out. I'm sure in these cars they certainly will, making use of the downforce with the front wings and the rear wings as well. That aero getting it spot on, and look down the inside now of Sebastian Ogard, so maybe making him think a little bit, and I can imagine that, you never know, might make him twitch. Certainly Christian Mansell getting closer all the time, and finds that apex edge, brushes the curb. Got to be careful, very easy to spin off the back of that. It will unsettle the car. We've seen it a couple of times today. He's now heading towards the next left again. This time he's clutching to that inside at turn 14, around 15. They'll be sending it down the long straight now towards turn 1. So you get the feeling that if a good sector 1 is what's needed, he might have a chance heading down the Mistral straight.
Very much so. Of course, the long Mistral, great for slipstreaming and overtaking opportunities. And Christian Mansell all over the back of Sebastian Ogard at the moment as they run through turns 1 and 2. Let's see whether he can be close enough. As you say, this is going to be a critical section here through the hotel bend and then through camp after that. This could be the moment where Mansell makes up the time, and you see him there taking a lot more speed through these corners. A little bit of a tighter line through camp. Now, is he going to get the run onto the straight. Looks as though he is closer. I don't think he's close enough necessarily, but down the Mistral straight they come, and we'll see him close in. What a great onboard this is. You can see the back of Ogard's car getting closer and closer. Mansell will not be quite there for a move at the chicane this time. This is the penultimate lap of the race, so he is running out of opportunities, and he will know that. Tries to get a good run back onto the Mistral after going through the chicane, and let's see if he's getting any closer through Signa. He will not be close enough to make a move, but he will be able to continue just closing in and closing in as they go flat through Signa Bend. Next up is Bousset, and he's not going to be close enough there. The 71 car remains in 5th place. Ogard there getting a little bit loose in the middle of the Bousset corner there. And Mansell, sensing an opportunity, had a look to the inside. And on this final lap, I think that Ogard is going to have to really, really get his defensive boots on here to try and hold off Christian Mansell, because Mansell looms large. Round the penultimate corner they go. Mansell surely going to set himself up for a dive. Yes, he does. He's up the inside. He's into 4th place, but where is Ogard? Is he side by side with him? Mansell there in 4th place, I think it is. I think they may be side by side, but let's wait and see. Yes, Mansell has it. 4th place for Mansell, but there's Ogard. Ogard side by side with Mansell, not able to get back through. Mansell then made it stick up the inside at the very last corner, and he's into 4th place. Sebastian Ogard is going to have to work very hard here through this first sector to try and be close enough to make a retaliative move, but I think that Mansell's done enough for forfeit.
Yeah, he seems to be in the corners, loves the apexes, does Mansell, and I think he's finding that little bit extra. But I have to tell you, I mean, this man who has been leading all the way, he's sort of got unnoticed at this point. Ollie Goethe, who's currently leading, charging 2.5 seconds in front at this time of Vladislav Lomko, who's definitely gone to work on it. We've got a replay here. Oh, a bit of a lock-up, and that is Christian Mansell making his move. And then on the outset, then Sebastian Ogard tried to come back at him. Of course, we had that side-by-side moment in towards turn 1. Mansell doing enough to keep the Van Amersfoort car at bay. Here's the onboard picture again. A sweeping move, just kept it close. Of course, leaving the room as well for Sebastian Ogard to then come back. Of course, the pair of them would then certainly battle, go together down in towards turn 1. But what a moment indeed. But you can't take anything away from this man, Adam. Ollie Goethe leading the way.
Yeah, Goethe's penultimate lap was actually a 1:58.1, so he's lost a lot of time to Lomko on the final lap, but that won't matter, all very immaterial. What matters to him is the checkered flag, and that's what awaits him as he comes onto the main straight. There's the flag, and it's another win in the 2022 Euroformula Open season for Oliver Goethe. He will extend his points advantage, and he will definitely be smiling as a result of that. Vladislav Lomko taking 2nd place, a good result for him. Christian Mansell, 4th position, and Sebastian Ogard in 5th place. Congratulations to Ugran on a podium. He'll be delighted with that one. Marin Angeli taking 6th. Nico Pino, he really outlasted those around him to take 7th place. There were a lot of calamities going on, but Pino managed to eventually take 7th place. Freddie Lubin crossing the line to take 8th eventually. And 9th place will go to Vladimir Netishil. So Vladimir getting more points on the board as a result of some of the issues for other drivers. Although saying that, he and Francesco Simonazzi were very close together. So I think there may be a little bit of postscript there. I don't know whether Simonazzi may actually make a move here on the final lap on Netishil for 9th place. But the 96 Oliver Goethe has taken the victory here today. And that means 4 consecutive events for Rofco where there have been victories. The Rofco guys, of course, celebrating victories at Estoril and at Po with Oliver Goethe. Stuart Hall, his driver coach, took 2 wins at the Monaco Historic last weekend, and now Goethe's back at it again. So delight all round, I think, for everyone involved with the Rofco operation, and indeed here at Team Motor Park, because once again, their youngster Oliver Goethe has taken a victory and extended his points advantage in this championship. Lomko, again, really strong stuff. He is again the fastest of the rookie drivers. He wins the rookie class. More importantly, though, second place, and drags himself closer to Vladislav Lomko in the overall champion. Closer to Christian Mansell in the overall championship as well. Here is the overall top 10. Then Goethe claiming the win from Vladislav Lomko in third. Christian Mansell takes fourth place. Sebastian Ogard in fifth. Marin Angeli, sixth position. Nico Pino taking seventh place for DriveX. Freddie Lubin takes eighth. And Simonazzi on the last lap did get past Vladimir Netishil. So Simonazzi takes ninth ahead of Vladimir Netishil. 11th place, albeit retired, for Alex Garcia. And unfortunately, Josh Mason also a casualty of the various dramas in that race. Look at the advantage now for Oliver Goethe. 31 points to the good over Christian Mansell. Vladislav Lomko now just 6 points back from Mansell as well. So the Australian is coming under pressure from Vladislav. Seb Ogard there in fourth place. Ugran and Lubin tied for fifth, a little further back in the order. But great results for Goethe once again, and plenty of positive performances coming out of that race here at Paul Ricard's. Here is Goethe heading down towards the podium. The Moto Park driver, I think he'll be elated. He's often got a beaming smile. He's always delighted to be in a racing paddock. And I mean, his results so far this year have been stellar.
They have been, and he started the season well. Obviously, a lot of fights up at the top end. I mean, we have seen him coming together with the likes of Lomko and, of course, that of Christian Mansell as well. Unfortunately, we couldn't see another Mansell-Goethe scrap towards the end, but nevertheless, we witnessed a big Mansell comeback, which was sensational, from the back of the field to fourth place. So a great effort from him, but no question as to who stands tall here at Paul Ricard in race one. It's that man, the Great Dane, Oliver Goethe. He is on top. Sensational result, and he will no doubt celebrate with his team. Still holds the lead in the championship. All smiles as they all shake hands.
His third victory of the year. That also means that he's taken a win at all of the rounds so far this year. Of course, he missed 2 wins at Estoril, and Vladislav Lomko took the win at the Grand Prix de Pau. He also got a hug there from his father, Roald Goethe, who is here supporting him this weekend. Great to see the Rofgo team, as I said, celebrating what's been a mighty month of May for them. Lomko getting plaudits from the Crypto Tower team, and Philip Ugran and Van Amersfoort, I think, will be very impressed to see their car on the podium out of that race. Of course, we have seen Seb Ogard claim a win at Estoril, so Van Amersfoort no strangers to the podium this season. But Ollie Goethe, the exceedingly popular young competitor for Moto Park, there we are. There's the happy face we expected to see. He will be really chuffed to bits with that result, and we'll hear from him in a moment. Philip Ugran in third place then, as we said, the final step of the podium for Ugran. Solid points on the boards after a positive weekend at Pau. Vladislav Lomko in second. A podium streak continuing for him. 2 podiums at Pau, including the win. And now second place today at Paul Ricard's. Oliver Goethe in the hot step, though. He is our race winner. Congratulations, Ollie. Here he is.
Nicola riserva.
Perfect start for once. I was feeling pretty good, but I was getting off the line.
Okay.
That's what happened, and yeah.
So good race, perfect race, good for the championship, and tomorrow we will see.
Yeah, very good for the championship. It's the best result I can get. Yeah, and then tomorrow we'll have to try to make up as many positions as possible because it's reversed. But yeah, no, great race. Really happy.
Well done, enjoy.
So there you go. Goethe with the win. Let's see how he did it. It was a great launch for Goethe. Mason, unfortunately, bogging down off the start. He would fight his way back from the rear of the order. Here we see what happened to Christian Mansell, though. He was trying to get up the inside. contact with Seb Ogard, sent him into a spin and dropped him to the back of the order. Meanwhile, all sorts of things going on further back. Simonazzi off track there as he and Alex Garcia had a bit of a scrap. Freddie Lubin having a fight with Seb Ogard, who dived to the inside at the tail end of the lap. But then, a little while later, contact between Lubin and Ogard, and that sent Lubin Mason side by side. Mason thought he had the move done, but Mansell managed to reclaim the place, and that sent Mason way back down to the fringes of the top 10. Mason tried to get along the inside of Alex Garcia. That moment would puncture the tyre of Josh Mason and send both him and Alex Garcia into early retirement in this race. Mansell fighting his way back through the order admirably to eventually claim 4th position. Good salvation job there from Christian Mansell to get some solid points on the board, even with the spin. But Oliver Goethe is our race winner here today. There you see the embrace with Roald at the end of that little highlight reel. Delight all round for Team Motorpark. Philippe Augrand, 3rd step on the podium. He's always pretty jovial and confident, is Philippe Augrand, and this will boost that confidence, no doubt. Good to be on the podium. Vladislav Lomko taking 2nd position. The driver based in Paris, a 2nd consecutive race where he doesn't actually have to brand his passport to get to the track of choice. So he'll be delighted to claim 2nd there. And Oliver Goethe claiming the top step of the podium for Team Motorpark, and they'll have a representative from Motorpark there on the podium too. And there you go, the Motorpark rep there, and we will now hear the national anthem. There you go, that was the national anthem of Denmark for Oliver Goethe, the dual nationality German-Danish driver, and these days based in Monaco as well. So he is certainly a multinational individual and a very happy individual as well. You see he's delighted to claim another podium. They'll have the photographs, and then in a few moments they'll have the champagne, and they don't have to get into these race suits before tomorrow, so let's hope that they give it large on the podium. Of course, it's not actually champagne, a little bit of inside baseball there, but these drivers largely too young for that. But nonetheless, the bubbly stuff is out, and look at that, Augrand on the attack, tries to spray Goethe as best he can. Oliver Goethe, though, with the most celebration to do, because he is our winner in the first race for Euroformula Open.